The Rideau Canal. It's hard to imagine Ottawa without picturing the beautiful waterway running through the city. However, if Canadian Pacific Railway had had its way and gone through with a major project in the 1910s, the center of the city would look much different today. On May 5, 1910, CPR filed plans for a gigantic railway project within Ottawa. The plans called for the Rideau Canal to be drained from the deep cut to the Ottawa locks, and for CPR's tracks to be placed on the bed of the drained canal. They also were looking to build a tunnel under Wellington Street from the Central Depot on Rideau Street to their Union Station on Broad Street. The company was dissatisfied with the fees they had to pay to the Grand Trunk Railway, one of their biggest rivals, to go on their tracks to get to the Central Depot. They also had to take a long detour through Hull to their locomotive facilities at Ottawa West and perform forward and backward movements into their station. At the same time, the Grand Trunk was constructing a new station and hotel at their Central Depot terminus. CP's plan would provide them with a direct route between their Broad Street station and Grand Trunk's new Central Station. They proposed the canal be drained to the Rideau River or underground to the Ottawa River. The estimate of the entire project would cost $1 million, equivalent to about $26 million today. Many arguments for and against the plans arose during 1910. Ottawa's mayor at the time, Charles Hopewell, came up with a different idea instead of the tunnel. He suggested CP build a series of bridges from the bottom of the canal to an island in the Ottawa River, then on to Victoria Island, and then connect to the railway's Ottawa West Yard near Oregon Street in LeBreton Flats. The Ottawa Board of Trade issued a resolution saying they viewed the closing of the canal with alarm. There was a fear that doing so would eliminate the checks on railway rates. Many towns along the canal, such as Kingston, Smiths Falls, Merrickville, Burt's Rapids, and Kempville, all protested CP's plan to close the stretch of the canal as they were concerned it would lead to a loss of business. Another voice of concern came from the Motorboat Association, saying they would lose investment money if the canal closed. On the other hand, some groups, such as the Organized International Labour Men of Ottawa and the Retail Merchants Association, voiced support for the plans. One of the main arguments for it was the canal was hindering development to the south and that a lot of people were moving west outside the city to the new suburbs of Westboro and Britannia. The closing of the canal would also lower prices and reduce congestion on the bridges. The day after the plans were filed, the Ottawa Journal reported a different perspective. They said that some civic and business circles, although they didn't mention who, believed CP was not serious about the plan and instead were using it to pressure the federal government to readjust their fees to access the Central Depot and to take control of the tracks leading the station from the Rideau River at Herdman. The Dominion Railway Commission Office described the filed plans as extraordinary and most unusually worded. On April 3, 1911, the city engineer Newton J. Kerr and W. F. Tye, a consulting engineer from Toronto, presented to City Council their recommendations for the plans. They suggested CP be allowed to build as planned and that the Grand Trunk Railway line through Ottawa, where the Queensway is now, be removed and GTR use the new tunnel. They claimed the railway's line through Ottawa hindered future growth. According to them, the GTR could then connect to their existing right-of-way west of the city with an S-shaped curve south to their existing line. The engineers also recommended constructing a new canal from Dow's Lake through Mechanicsville to Little Chartier Falls. This new canal would be deeper and could be integrated into the Georgian Bay Canal System, a plan by the federal government to construct a waterway for seafaring ships from Montreal along the Ottawa River to Georgian Bay. Another reason for supporting the plan was if it didn't go through, CP said they would move its freight traffic that ran through Ottawa to the west down to Smith Falls, or from Montreal along the north shore of the Ottawa River to Hull and then Pembroke via Waltham. A committee created by the city suggested that instead of closing the canal, it should be narrowed and its west shore and the east part of the driveway, now Queen Elizabeth Drive, be used for 6 tracks. CP agreed to this and then announced they would construct a new station on the west side of the canal at Canal Street, and they were eager to get started. As time rolled on, no indication was given that CP wished to proceed on the project. In May 1912, the Honourable Frank Cochrane, Minister of Railway and Canals, which is now Transport Canada, said he wouldn't give a decision on the project as CP itself was not willing to go ahead with the work at the time. Rumours circulated that the project had been dropped. When asked about the situation, General Manager of CP, David McNichol, would say the project was not dead, but sleeping. In 1913, the federal government called on the company to reach a decision as the delay prevented the government from purchasing Days Arena to build a drill hall. The plan also faced a new barrier as approval for transportation projects within the capital had to be approved by the Ottawa Improvement Commission. By the end of 1913, the plan was pretty much dead. However, the halt plan of 1915, commissioned by the federal government, included the tunnel idea. This plan was never implemented due to World War I and the burning of the center block of the Parliament buildings in 1916. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this moment in Ottawa history and would like to learn more, there are links in the description below. Also, if you'd like to see more videos on Ottawa's history, please hit the subscribe button.